Welcome back, everybody. A really exciting day today at the White House, John. You know, I was in that roundtable with President Trump, and of course, you had Director Kevin Hassett, you had Secretary Bessent, you had a gaggle of members of Congress and senators, but you also had farmers from Arkansas, from Iowa, from, I mean, every state it seemed like was represented, even though that's not possible because there were only 20 or so of them. But it was really wonderful to hear their perspective. A rice farmer, Merrill Kennedy, was sitting to President Trump's left and hearing the plight, hearing what they experienced under Joe Biden, and also now what they are experiencing with the tariffs. So President Trump is obviously trying to extend them a lifeline, along with Secretary Brooke Rollins, $12 billion, an aid package for them that I can't believe this. So the checks will be delivered in February, but by the end of this month, so that they can plan accordingly, they will know how much they will be given for, you know, as far as stimulus for their own farms. But I asked President Trump because there's been so much chatter about affordability. Republicans, Americans in general, are not feeling that things are getting more affordable, other than gas and then, of course, eggs. But I asked President Trump because I said, well, let's just watch it.
Interest of affordability with this aid package, I assume that that's something you want consumers to see before midterms next year. How quickly will that affect prices at the grocery store?
Well, I think the prices are going to be going down already. I mean, the prices are way down. We brought prices way down from what it was. We inherited high prices. We inherited the biggest inflation in the history of our country. That means prices going up. And we brought it down very substantially. Now inflation is essentially gone.
You know, President Trump, everything President Trump does is calculated and sequential. He knows exactly what it looks like. And so I think that, absolutely. And I think this affordability is going to hit just about at the beginning of spring and maybe the beginning of summer. So it's going to be interesting to see. All right. I also asked President Trump, because this was kind of blended with the MAHA movement, because as all of us learn more and more about what we're putting in our bodies, we're also learning about how a lot of things like soybeans that they were talking about at the early part of this roundtable, how they are so much more low quality when they come from other countries. And it's not just that, it's other produce as well. So I asked the president.
On the quality of foreign produce, you spoke about soybeans and how the quality here in the United States obviously is a lot better.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, is the default of this administration, because that's an issue I understand with root vegetables, citrus as well, is the default of this administration that even if it's a little bit more expensive, homegrown, you will choose homegrown over cheaper produce abroad?
I like homegrown. You know, some things we can't grow because we don't have the heat. There are some things, you know, little delicacies, or maybe not such delicacies, but they grow better in warmer climates, very warm climates, actually. But for the most part, I like homegrown.
And the president's right, John. There are some things, avocados, I know we get a lot of avocados from Mexico because they just grow better down there. And, warmer. You know, and so President Trump, obviously, that is worked into President Trump's trade deals with these other nations.
I was really struck by the farmers understanding that even while there's a temporary aid program that they're having, that they understand that these new deals that he's opened up are going to open up mass new markets for them. It's interesting because none of that gets through in the reporting in the mainstream media, but it does get through in places like Real America's Voice, Just the News. They get it. They know what's coming down the pike, and they're willing to wait it out with the president. That was the most interesting sentiment I picked up watching that conference.
Well, these people came prepared. Merrill Kennedy, who is a rice farmer in Louisiana, was sitting next to him, and President Trump asked her point blank, if your business is suffering, what countries are responsible? She said India, Thailand, and China through Puerto Rico. So she came
right
prepared.
through our back door.
And President Trump said, I'm ready to make stuff happen. He turned around to Secretary Bessent and said, write that down and make sure you include it.
What an amazing, you're a farmer and you're suddenly creating world history.
I know, absolutely incredible. All right, everybody, that's all the time we have for you tonight, but we appreciate you being here. John, I appreciate you for taking us through the first half hour of the show without me. All right, everybody, we're going to be here tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern. Grant Stinchfield is going to take you through the next hour. Have a great night.